Al, I know last week we were very, questioning of whether or not Kikyo is going to show up in this episode.
I know. Kagome left us on a cliffhanger at the end of like, there's a priestess. Could it be Kikyo? Who knows? Find out next week.
Well, I'm here to tell you
hmm
it wasn't Kikyo.
That's a lie.
What do you mean?
The episode title is A Wicked Smile, Kikyo's Wandering Soul.
Oh, I think we watched the different episode. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
I watched A Wicked Smile, not Kikyo's Wandering Soul. And it was just a lady that looks like Kikyo, but with funny glasses and a mustache.
Oh man, that sounds like a cool episode. Inuyasha, but Kikyo just has on the glasses from Persona 4.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know who this is. Who could this be? Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Jared Now Watch Inuyasha. It is episode number 22. I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello.
And we are watching season 1, episode number 22, called A Wicked Smile, Kikyo's Wandering Soul.
I regret not wearing my Inuyasha pants.
Oh, you should have wore your Inuyasha pants.
I didn't wear the Inuyasha
Much
pants.
regrets.
So many regrets.
So many regrets. So we begin this episode, and there's a bunch of kids,
Gross.
and Kikyo's there. And
That is
the kids are like,
the fact.
"What's this grass?" And she's like, "Oh, it's an herb. You can use it." And the kid's like, "What's this do? What's this?"
What's this one do? They're just like shoving plants at her.
She's like, "Oh." So she's like just chilling with these kids by this river, and then there's some monks who are behind her who are like, "Yo, this is real messed up.
She's a demon.
That girl's a demon." And then Kikyo's like, "Yo, monk, why don't you walk your butt over here and talk that smack to me in front of my face?" And he's like, I dropped my scroll. Why don't you pick it up for me? Because if you were a demon, you wouldn't be able to pick it up.
I'm so clever.
And then she's like, here you go. Also, I'm going to shoot like lasers at you. Send you into the shadow realm.
Yep.
And he's like, whoa! And then he picks up his scroll again, and it's like all been erased. And she's like, I'm
No
out
more
of here.
words.
I'm out of here.
And he's like, you don't belong here. Get out of here.
It's true. Inuyasha and his pals are like at a castle or something, and they're protecting some princesses, essentially.
Yes.
Just chilling. They're thinking like, oh, Moroku's going to use some of his shady tactics to get us all good food and everything. It's like, no, I actually have a reason to go here. But then also, he just uses the shady tactics.
Yeah.
Because as you do.
They get so much rice. I was looking at that. I'm like, I want to eat all that rice.
So much rice.
So much rice.
Kikyo has her own like mid-episode flashback of like recap of in here's like, hey, here's what happened last time I ran into Inuyasha. I fell off a cliff.
I survived somehow.
I survived, and now this is where I am now. But also, why was Inuyasha sad? It's probably because he felt my anger. Grrr. That's how that works. The rest of the gang are in this castle or whatever. They're waiting for these like souls to be collected and everything. Just like, nothing's happening. Moroku goes and visits another priest or princess because she's not feeling well. He's like, oh, I better go do this. Ho, 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 ho. And the ship was like, hey, what do you want me to do? He's like, transform into something nice.
Like a bunny.
And he's like, what?
I'll
Huh?
tell you when you're older.
And then Kagome and Inuyasha are by themselves. And she like leans in real close to Inuyasha. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? Wait, what's going on? Why are you so close? She's like, this lady's looking at me funny. I don't like it.
She's scaring me.
I don't like it.
She also tells him to get his mind out of the gutter, and he somehow knows what that means.
He's just learning her slang.
Yeah, that's valid. I mean, like, people pick up my slang when they hang out with me, so that makes sense.
It's true. This princess that they're watching over just like rises from her bed and is like,
Rise
whoa.
from your grave.
And this weird demon's like, I'm gonna take your soul and see you later.
And Inuyasha says no.
He kills it and the soul returns and she's like, okay, I'm going back to bed. And then they go outside and there's like just a bunch of them carrying souls out and they're like, that's weird. We go to the village where Kikyo's staying and this kid's like, can't sleep. Kikyo seems sad. Here, oh, she's walking in front of our home. I'm gonna go follow her. So she goes and follows Kikyo. Kikyo has all the souls come to her and she's like, cool, all these souls. I will take care of you now.
Nom nom.
Nom nom nom. And then the monk comes back and is like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That's real messed up. You're kind of dead, you know. Kikyo's like, yeah, so what? The monk produces his Dragon Ball and is like, I'm going to trap you with a dragon. And Kikyo's like, no, you're not. And just like breaks the dragon and has one of the claws just like fly right at the monk and just goozles his throat.
Yeah, he gets a little stabby there.
He gets choked. He's like, hey, the living and the dead can't coexist. Your life is very tragic right now. Ugh. And then the kid's there, and the kid's like, oh, and Kiki's like, oh, did you see that? That's messed up. I'm sorry. And she's like, no, get away. I saw you murder that man. No, get. And Kiki's like, oh, sorry, my bad. I guess I'm going to leave now. I'm going out. I'm going home.
Sorry that you had to see that. Bye.
Inuyasha and the group are having a picnic. Where Shippo's having just licking on a lollipop and
he's got a giant lollipop.
Moroku's just drinking some soda. And they're like, and Kobe's like, we gotta go after the souls. And Inuyasha's like, okay, how do we do that? Where are the souls? And Kobe's like, well, okay, you bring up a good point. I hadn't really thought of that.
And he's also not interested because there's no shards involved.
Mm-hmm. And then they see a body floating in the river, and Shippo's like, is that an octopus?
I was like, that is very clearly not an octopus.
They're like, no, that's a body. And they drag the body out, and it's the monk's like
the other priest,
student or his apprentice or whatever. And he's like,
yeah,
we were trying to get with this demon, and like, oh, it's real messed up. And then
when he wakes up, he like freaks the hell out because Kagome looks like Kikyo.
Yes.
And he's like, oh no.
So that's like, that tips him off on something's up. And then they're like, okay, what was the name? And he's like, I think they called her Kikyo. And then you're just like, oh, you better not be lying or I will throw you back in that river. He's like, no. The kids, when they were interacting with her, they definitely called her that. I'm like 100% sure. And Inuyasha's like, oh boy.
Gotta go.
Oh boy. So he bolts off. And then Kagome's just like, he should just go be with Kikyo. And Roku and Shippo are just like, yo, what's up with her? Anyways, the sky just turned dark. We should figure this out. Oh, hey, there's all those souls. We should probably chase after them.
Well, at one point, Moroku even says, like, hey, we could go after Inuyasha. She's like, no, we're not doing that.
Nope. Thank you.
Yep.
So they go after, like, the souls, and before that, Kagome is just walking her bicycle. As soon as the sky turns dark, her bicycle is nowhere to be found.
Yep.
She just ditches that.
Yep.
And they keep running, and Shippo and Moroku eventually run into, like, a barrier, but Kagome is able to run through, and she loses them and then falls down a cliff and then complains that her back hurts when she slid down the cliff on her belly.
Yep.
Because that's what happens. And then she basically she looks around her surroundings and sees Kikyo in a tree with some souls. And it's like, uh-oh.
She's lounging.
That's probably not good. And that's where we went. We end our episode.
Da-ba-bum.
This will all be fine. Clearly.
I still wonder, like, why they just had that dead princess just chilling there.
You know. As you do.
I guess, but weird. Anyways,
let's talk about some notes and differences.
Okay.
Episodes 21 and 22 originally aired together as a 1-hour special.
Makes sense.
So I'm trying to see. Okay, that was in Japan and also in the U.S. The deceased princess's white kimono's collar was in opposite position rather than the Y shape if viewed from the front. According to Sinosphere's culture, once somebody dressed it in an opposite collar, it showed that the person had died. That last part of that sentence was very messy.
Yeah, it was very, very messy. I think they're saying that like
If you're dressed like that, you're dead.
yeah.
But she shouldn't have been.
Well, she's dead. Her dead body's just chilling there, and like they're trying to keep the soul from leaving.
I don't know. I'm confused.
So,
I'm confused. I get this right then? It feel like the way they're described it makes it sound like it's wrong.
Yeah.
But
I'm not sure. I wonder. Maybe it's just noting that like
that's the thing.
that they did it in the correct way technically, but in a very roundabout way.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Differences from the manga. Though picking up from the previous episode, the anime excludes Inuyasha telling Kagome he wants her to stay by his side before she goes back into the well again.
Mm-hmm.
The anime adds in an extra scene of Inuyasha being suspicious of Moroku's reasons for staying at the manor, as well as a group of women bringing them a feast.
Rice.
Just a line of them. The anime leaves out Sekai, which is the monk, asking around the village about abnormalities before happening across Kikyo. Mm-hmm. And also the anime omits Inuyasha ordering the group to stay behind so he can search for Kikyo on his own. He just bolts.
Yeah, he just leaves.
All right. So that does it for this episode. The next time we will be talking about Inuyasha, we will be discussing Season 1, Episode number 23, called Kagome's Voice and Kikyo's Kiss. Mm-hmm. What could possibly happen here? Who knows? But we will be discussing that in 2 weeks. Because next week, we got to go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. We revert back to Season 1.
Yep.
We get one step closer to finishing Sailor Moon Crystal because the Sailor Moon Crystal, the new movies are coming out, I guess, tomorrow by the time you hear this?
Yeah.
So we will be discussing those next week. And then in 2 weeks' time, we will return to Inuyasha for episode 23 for 4 more weeks before we skip off to Love Live Superstar.
And then after that, we'll come back to him.
And then after that, we'll come back. So a little bit of scheduling confusion, but hopefully you can understand that. So Inuyasha in 2 weeks. Next week is Sailor Moon again. And then we'll figure out everything else in a couple weeks after that.
Yes.
So there you go. But that's going to wrap up this episode. Mm-hmm. If you would like more from us, go to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool. It's where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. You can find columns reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/animecheckup. And you can buy our books, One Shining Moment, A Critical Analysis of Love, Live, Sunshine, and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. Mm-hmm. So join us next time for Inuyasha in 2 weeks, where we discuss episode 23. But join us next week when we talk about those Sailor Moon Crystal movies.
Yep.